Greetings and skeletations, my new ghoul friends. I'm Niomi Dylan Sass, resident podcaster here at UIC Radio, and I'm taking you along with me to visit something grave today. This is where hauntings feel like hellos. Welcome to season 2 of a podcast for everything in the horror genre, from movies to mythologies and mysteries. This is She's in the Crypt. Along with us on this week's frightful journey, your favorite ghoul's favorite ghoul is taking a solo trip to the crypt today. Slashers have been on my mind lately, like Freddy, Mason, Needlehead, Lucky, Micheal Myers, and Leatherface, to be a little more specific. Yeah, I said those names correctly. These are the spoof versions of the iconic horror legends from the 2009 comedy horror hit Stan Helsing. Directed and written by Bo Zinga, starring major celebrities like Stephen Howie, Diora Baird, Desi Liddick, and the reason why I tuned in, Kenan Thompson. In this story, we follow a group of individuals on Halloween night in the town of Stormy Nights, where they are chased by some of the greatest monsters from the scariest movies. There will be a trigger warning at the beginning of each of my episodes, just in case today's dark discussion isn't your preferred potion. We're gonna touch on the topics from death of animals, arson, death in general, and probably the scariest, most problematic thing in this whole movie, early 2000s comedy. Ghoul. I get it if you can't listen to that right now. Just leave us a like on your way out and be sure to tune in next week for a different dark discussion. After this quick break, I'll be back and we're going to figure out why a spoof movie like this ended up at the Crypt. I will be doing some grave digging into why the world forgot this movie existed. I'll be rolling in my grave with excitement while you listen to this quick message from beyond. I wonder if I'll get one of these spells right one day. I think I'll just read this aloud. Let me try. Kanda, estrata, monotone, egrets, gat, nasferatos, kanda, amantos, kanda. Oh, this said to not read it aloud. Oops. Well, this is She Summoning. Everyone, welcome to the studio. Me, ya ghoul who got 2 hours of sleep. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about some of my plans for the podcast coming up in the season. I'm trying to write an audio play. So the plan so far, what I have in my head, there's going to be 2 parts. It's going to be a 2-act play. I'm going to try to have the first act written, edited, revised, and be read and performed for the season finale of season 2, and then have Act 2 be the episode season premiere of season 3. I mean, come on. Doesn't that sound amazing? So, the play so far, trademark me, just by the way, it is called Past the Static. It is obviously an audio play, which means there's going to be no video, no visual. I'll try to maybe possibly make some sort of like thumbnail for it, so there's something to look at. But essentially, it's going to be like a survival play. It's going to be totally like radio based in a way. Like somebody comes across a radio and they are trying to find their way out of a situation. Now, what situation is it going to be? You guys are going to have to tune in and find out. Yes, it's going to be so fun. I'm actually really, really excited for that. I already have a bunch of ideas. That's all I'm giving away at this moment. You are probably going to hear some of previous guests be some of the voice actors for this. That's going to be dope. If we have some of the podcast episodes, if we have some of the guests on episodes past be some of the voice actors for the audio play, that would be really cool. That's totally going to happen. That is in my tarot reading. I see it right now. Okay, so another thing that I'm kind of trying to evolve more, I'm trying to evolve the slash or smash vlog. I'm trying to evolve the slash or smash vlog portion where I'm taking this more towards the streets. Now that the sun is coming out, and it's a brand new day and the snow is melting, I'm going to really try to just go out on campus and get some more random people. Because it's not like my guests aren't random. I have, some sort of acquaintanceship, friendship, or, with everyone that's been on the podcast or the vlog, but I want to get more just random people into that slash or smash vlog because I think it'd be really cool. And then people wouldn't be like, there's no like less stakes because like we don't know each other, I guess, to like disagree or not disagree. So that's another thing I have planning. Other than that, everything is going smoothly. I'm having so much fun this semester, doing this every week, doing the Crypt collections every week. I have a cute little teaser for you guys later in the episode, so stay tuned for that. So I think it's time to get into the next segment. Yeah, I think it is time to get into the next segment. This is Dark Discussions. This film follows your average stoner who works at their local video store. It's Halloween night and Stan, played by Stephen Howie, is just finishing up his shift. He's watching a scary movie and rolling a joint at the front desk when his manager comes in to tell him there is a bug that needs killing in the bathroom. When he arrives at the bathroom, after barging in on the wrong stall a couple times, he opens the correct one, and when he sees a bug as big as him, he attacks it. But the giant roach sprays him with a mucusy discharge, and we see him cleaning himself up with pads. Are y'all catching the vibe of the movie so far? All right. As he's clocking out, his boss tells him that he has to deliver a bag of DVD rentals to his mom like he promised, or else he won't have a job to go back to on Monday. His friend Teddy, played by Kenan Thompson, is there to pick him up in his borrowed mom's minivan. Teddy has his date, Mia, and Stan's friend slash ex-girlfriend, Nadine, in the car because they are all going to a Halloween party. He tells them that they have to make a quick detour or else he won't have a job to pay them back all the money he's borrowed from them. The movie cuts back to the video store where we meet the first three slashers, Needlehead, Freddy, Michael Myers, and they are looking for Stan. I wonder what they want with him. Back at the car, the group is driving when Stan peers into the car next to him and gets mooned by a devious, scarred-up doll known as Lucky. All right, so we're gonna pause here. I want to talk about the costumes that the group is first so far. So Stan, he is dressed up as a cowboy. So that is his vibe of, he's literally a stoner archetype. I don't know how else to explain him. He is a stoner from the 2010s era. And his best friend, Kenan Thompson, Teddy, he's dressed up as Superman, like full body tights and everything. And he is playing what Kenan Thompson, I think, plays best most of the time, like right-hand man, goofy guy, seriously unserious. It's really, really fun. And then the other two girls, one of them is dressed up. She changes her costume throughout the movie a bunch of times. I don't remember what her first one is at the moment, but her second one that she changes into is a nurse costume. It's pretty funny, just how she changes into it, but we'll get into that. And the ex-girlfriend slash friend of Stan, she is in probably the more problematic costume of the movie. It's something that has definitely been canceled. It is an indigenous girl's costume. She is giving very Spirit Halloween. That is something that they definitely would not do nowadays. And we'll get into the slashers that we saw so far. So the first one, it's Needlehead. This is a parody of the movie Hellraiser, the slasher Pinhead. He is the demon judge, basically. He's the one that judges everybody in hell. But this version, he has like a bunch of bar darts. Yeah, he has a bunch of bar darts pinned into his head instead of like the typical needle thingy. So that makes it very absurd and not copyright infringed on. The next one we have Freddy. This is a spoof character of the horror icon Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger is obviously from like Nightmare on Elm Street, so there's a lot of references to that movie inside of this movie as well. And the next one we have Micheal Myers. Micheal Myers, I don't know why. I mean, I know why they called him Criers, because they don't want to do anything that's gonna infringe on copyright, like I said earlier. But like, he doesn't even cry. But the mask that they gave him is so funny, and it is a little problematic. They gave him for absolutely no reason, like a yarmulke, so that he just wears that the whole time. It has nothing to do with like him at all. But yeah, his character is super funny, and it's kind of just like Micheal Myers, but like the mask is not scary, so it makes it funny. And then the last person, Lucky. We all know who this has to be, right? It's Chucky. Yeah, our introduction to Chucky in this movie would not fly again. Something right now, I'm not even gonna like bring it up on the podcast, because that was like the one part of the movie where I was like, that should definitely be cut like right now and just be re-edited and have that not in there at all, because it didn't really need it. If you guys want to know what that is, go ahead and tune into the movie and you can find out. But I'm not gonna get canceled on the podcast. But yeah, Lucky, he is a doll, and he is probably my least favorite slasher out of the ones that they're making fun of. It doesn't bring the same funniness, because like Chucky, the character of Chucky itself is already such an absurd slasher serial killer. He's literally like a doll. Like, I don't know how much more absurd you can get than a doll killing you. So it's hard to spoof something that's already living in that not real realm. So I didn't think they executed the spoof version of Chucky well. But they did it anyways, and you know what? It's here. I think they should just cut it. So, like I was talking about, there is some problematic stuff. So, this really does beg like my question to the audience, to you guys, how we grow in the realm of comedy, because this is totally satire. None of this is like should be taken seriously, but there's a lot of like jokes that just aren't politically correct and wouldn't be done nowadays. So like when referring to comedy, does like a spoof equate to like an all bets are off type of comedy, like a roast does? Because, you know, when people go to roasts, or when there is a roast of somebody, literally they can, like I said, all bets are off. You can talk about a dead relative, you can talk about like drug addiction, you can talk about self-harm, you can talk about any of that stuff in a roast, because that type of environment sets the stakes of no stakes, you know, like literally you aren't supposed to be offended in a roast. I mean, there's people who, you know, don't do it in a funny way and can say it really, really mean. Pheromone. But for the most part, the people who do it professionally are really good at creating humor out of it, and you're supposed to be able to find the humor in it and acknowledge it. So that is my question when it comes to spoofs. Is a spoof movie like the same kind of environment that a roast brings? Is it like a all bets are off type of deal? Because Scary Movie, I want to say 6? The newest Scary Movie, the Wayans brothers are back on it. Anna Faris, Regina Hall, the whole gang is back on the movie, and that's going to come out this June. And they've been very adamant saying like, oh, if y'all are offended by the last movies, then you really ain't going to like this one, because they're going to be just as like crass as before, which I'm kind of excited for. There's obviously a limit, because like in Scary Movie, I want to say the first one, Scary Movie, the first one, they had a character, Miss Man, which kind of ties into one of the characters in this spoof right here. But they had a character, Miss Man, and it was like a gym coach for the ladies, and it was just a bad interpretation of a trans woman, basically. And like, there's a part where the coach was being very perverse and abrasive to Sydney, and then like
part where like the coach lifted their leg up and a ball sack came out, and it was like, okay, come on now. Stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we can get away from dumb stuff like that, but however, some of the comedy itself, like they make fun of everything that should be made fun of. But as long as it's done right in a way, then it should be forgiven. If everyone's laughing, it should be forgiven. But if only one person's laughing, is it really that funny? I guess is my question. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. So we're gonna go ahead and get on to the movie. They still haven't made it to the other side of town where the delivery locale is. While they are driving, a semi-truck speeds in front of them and its back doors are wide open. Inside the truck, there are a bunch of bloody bodies wrapped in sheets hanging from a hook. They kind of pretend that they didn't just see that, and Stan pulls out a joint, like a suspiciously large joint, to lighten up the mood, if you will. The camera pans out and we see the car driving with an excessive amount of smoke coming out of the minivan windows. Obviously, driving stoned is not a good idea, and they end up hitting a dog in result. As the group is trying to help the dog, someone stops by in the truck and the gang asks for help. Quickly, they realized it was the man's dog they just hit. He vows to make his dog, Sammy Boy, better so they can get them back. All of them rush back to the van and get back on the road with their side quest. Not even a few minutes go by while they're driving when they stumble across a hitchhiker. Teddy had compassion for him and stopped to give him a ride. As soon as he gets in the car, they realized he is an escaped convict who was found guilty for the torture and murder of 2 nurses, and he is a big ol' racist. The hitchhiker smells the remnants of the weed and asks if he could have some. Teddy tricked him into looking to the trunk and then opened it so he'd fly out of the back. Of course, they start to run out of gas, which leads them to a pit stop at a station. When they get inside, the man tending the front recognizes Stan, but as Van Helsing, the greatest monster hunter. After assuring the guy that his name was Stan, the attendant excused himself to go make a pot of coffee, but he actually went to spy on Mia using the bathroom. He gets caught once Stan goes in there to use the bathroom, and the commotion of all of that gets them back on the road. Okay, so we have to talk about more of the characters, because they're bringing more characters into this movie, right? They're spoofing more and more and more. Everything is a character of a character. This movie's so funny. I'm not even... This movie's so funny for no reason. There's a lot more comedy. I find there's a lot more comedy in this movie than there is bad stuff. Yeah. So take that what you will with it. So the first thing that I noticed that they're spoofing, so the semi-truck thing, I want to say there's the movie Joyride. That is the movie where there's a serial killer inside a semi-truck. They're stalking Paul Walker. He's so fine. They are stalking him and his brother and like one of their girlfriends or something. So I want to say that truck is from that, but also they infused it with Jeepers Creepers, because in Jeepers Creepers he had like not a whole semi truck how they did in this one, but they had a smaller, just mini. It looked like a ambulance without it painted as an ambulance, and yeah, it was an effed up car. So in the back of his car, he had a bunch of dead bodies hung up and rolled up in sheets, all bloody and everything. So I believe they took that part from Jeepers Creepers. They smashed it together with a Joyride, and then on top of that, so I love them being unafraid to reference because that's anybody who is a horror fan of like the OG canon movies. This is a very good satire interpretation of the world that they live in, The next thing that I see that they're spoofing is the dog that they hit, Sammy Boy. There's that old movie Cujo. Cujo is a dog that I think he got rabies. He got rabies and he came back to the dead, but this is giving very Cujo vibes. Is basically like Frankenweenie. That is another thing that they are spoofing. Okay, so here is the main thing that they are spoofing, you guys. Stan, the main character, he is supposed to be Van Helsing. Van Helsing is honestly one of my favorite movies. It's starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale. It was an early 2000s movie as well, but Hugh Jackman is the one that plays Van Helsing. This is when he is at his finest. He and by finest I mean his finest. He has his hair like long to his shoulders. It's just so silky, so hot. He's so young too, which, you know, why not? And he is a monster hunter, and in a monster hunter that is very based in Catholicism. So like he only kills. He knows killing is a crime, and he repents for it every time. He only kills people that are monsters or like have been deemed to be monsters. So like in Van Helsing, one of the monsters he'd been sent to kill was Frankenstein's creature, Dr. Frankenstein's creature. They had created him in that movie, and he had gotten loose, and he was supposed to go kill him. No, not supposed to go kill him. They found him, but they found him in his travels and was given orders to kill him. He was sent to go kill Dracula and all of his 3 brides that lived over there in the town that was terrorizing them. And yeah, Van Helsing is just such a good movie. So there's like werewolves in that movie too. We see the Igor, the Dr. Frankenstein's kind of like weirdo little sidekick. So in Stan Helsing, they are using that storyline as the basis of this. Stan is supposed to be, well, not Stan, but like in the movie, Van Helsing is supposed to be this legendary monster hunter, you know? And I think some of the funniest parts in this movie were inside of this car trip, especially with the hitchhiker, because as they're getting the hitchhiker, Stan is all like what are you doing, like what if this dude's like a serial killer or something? And Teddy's like, you know, being someone who's like a person of color, I know how it feels to not get picked up on the streets, so like I sympathize. So as soon as the dude gets in, the first thing you see is he has a Nazi symbol tattooed on the tip of his nose, and we're like, oh, shit. And then he goes on to saying, oh, yeah, I just got out. And we're like, got out of where? He just escaped prison. And it was funny when he said that what he had did... what he was convicted for was against 2 nurses. Teddy, he was like, my mom's a nurse. No, not around here though. Yeah, that whole part was so funny. I remember watching this movie as a kid, and it's would scare me. And now I look back and I'm like, okay, I see why it would scare a kid because of like the scary monsters or whatever. But it's just, I think every other minute has a good chuckle in it. There is some parts that are like, okay, you know, a straight man did this. And I think it's about time. Can you remake a spoof? Has that ever been done? That's a good question, you guys. Can you remake a spoof? Has that ever been done? 'Cause that would be so funny. I think this would be way funnier with a queer point of view, or a women's vision directing this instead, because there's a lot of sexualization of women in this movie, and it's unnecessary, and it would only be funny to men in that time period. I don't even think half of the men now. Y'all know which kind of men would still find this funny, but a normal, sensible person would not find the sexualization that they do funny. It's just unnecessary. And they probably could save some money not having to pay people to show their bodies. Yeah, so we'll get back into the movie. They finally made it to the west gate of Stormy Night Estates, which was a town that thrived off of its movie set location, Stormy Night Pictures. They are greeted at the gate by a security guard. He gets 3 different calls on the phone during his explication of the town's history. The guard lets them know that they have to drive on through to the estate gate for deliveries. Almost instantly, getting inside the lot of the estates, they ran out of gas. Now they are all forced to walk to either drop off the movies or find help. The group ends up at the town bar where they think that they can get some rest and help, but as soon as they walk in, the guy with the dog that they just hit is there singing karaoke. He spots them and stops, making the vibes in the place very tense. The group sticks out like a sore thumb because in their city, they haven't celebrated Halloween ever since that fire that burned down most of everything years ago. The waitress and the busboy tell them their cell phones don't work at Stormy Nights Estates, and for them to not be there after midnight. Teddy signed them up to sing karaoke, and they chose to sing Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. No one in the audience was feeling it because they were still sensitive about the fires. Stan introduces himself, and they think he is Van Helsing too. The legend goes that someone named Van Helsing is supposed to defeat monsters that have plagued the town since the fires. They leave the bar, but not before midnight, so they are trapped there for the night. Once they go back to the bar to see what happens to the gates closing, and when they enter, the whole bar is skeletons and cobwebs. All right, so we're going to stop right there again, and we'll talk about a few things. We're going to start with the calls that the security guard got, okay? Because these were like the funny parts for me. All right. So, yeah, the calls were super funny. The first call that the security guard gets, we just hear like screams in the back and like muffled like Charlie Brown talking. And then the security guard is all like, yeah, I think you should just put some WD-40 on it and it'll just fix it right up. And then you just hear screams still like going off in the back. And then so they hang up and then they keep going on with their conversation. And then another call comes in. And it's somebody who, it sounds like somebody's complaining because the security guard's like, what? A hockey mask? We haven't seen that one yet before. All right, we'll keep a lookout. And then he gets another call. So he gets a third call, and the third call is talking about nightmares. So basically, like, the first call, it's referencing to the Leatherface, like, killing somebody. I think he's asking for, like, advice on how to get his chainsaw to keep going. The other one, it looks like Jason. Somebody's calling to, like, say Jason's around. And then the last one is nightmares. Freddy Krueger, obviously. So that was just a really funny moment. And I love how the cell phones don't work in this little town. It really didn't. I mean, I guess cell phones weren't too technologically advanced back then. So it would be easier then for it to be logical that the cell phones don't work. But nowadays it's like, okay, they look like they had really good cell phone reception over there. Like there wasn't that many trees. There's telephone wires everywhere, so it was odd that there was like no cell phone there. But obviously for the story they had to like keep the stakes high that they couldn't get out so easy. Oh, another reference that I saw that they made was when they go back to the bar. This reminded me of the Shining scene when when Wendy goes to the gold bar, and in the gold bar it used to be like a really lively room, and then when she went there like the night when everything was going down, it was just cobwebs and skeletons. So when this group went back to the bar that was just lively, everybody was singing karaoke. Now when it was midnight and everything was going down, they go back there and it was like cobwebs and skeletons. So I think that was a reference to the Shining movie. So we'll go ahead and get back onto the movie. As soon as the four get outside of the bar, they start bolting for the gate. Teddy had to stop for a bit of his emergency burger, and the box acted as a portal, and the slasher, Needlehead, came out of it. They run away from the way they came, back to the west gate. Once they get there, they see the security guard dead. Stan tries to climb the gate, and that's when they realize it's an electrical fence. This forces them to pivot their direction again. In the distance, they see Michael Myers throwing bodies into the metal pipe. Of course, they had to go check it out, and yes, they fell down the pipe. They run into Michael down there, and so they end up making their way to a church for some sanctuary. Inside was an altar boy who reveals and inspires Stan to make him realize he is Stan Van Helsing, the legendary monster hunter, and the altar boy gives the group some personalized weapons. Stan wants to just hide in the church till morning, but the almost priest kicks them out so Stan can fulfill his destiny. As they are making their way downtown, they run into the brides of Dracula. Before the guys can have their fun with them, Leatherface comes out and terrorizes them with a corded leaf blower. They end up hiding on part of the old movie set that has been transformed into a gay porn set, and their theme is Frankenstein. Y'all know I love Frankenstein. That was not the vibe they were going for, but it was safer than monsters. Nonetheless, they found themselves at a house. The house reminded me of something, but I can't put my finger on it. They are trying to find a room, and each door is opening up to something random and frightening. Finally, they found a room where they could relax and hide. All of them ended up falling asleep. So we'll take another little break right here and dissect some stuff that was just going on. Okay, so in Hellraiser, Pinhead comes from like this cube. So in this movie, Pinhead or Needlehead, excuse me, came from a burger box. I thought that was really funny. In the electrical fence scene, when Stan gets electrocuted, it like makes him have a flashback back to when he was dating Nadine, and it goes to the reason why they broke up, and it was so funny. So they're dating, they're at a bar, they're eating dinner or whatever. So right before the food is ready, he hears that their food is ready, and then he was like, here, you know what? I'll go get it since you paid for it and all, you know, it's the least I could do. Very stoner of the guy. So then on his way back from like bringing the food, as he's like grabbing the food from the counter, there is somebody who's trying to rob the person at the front, and then he just kind of like looks at them and he's like, oops, I'm sorry, and then just like keeps walking. As he's walking, there's a baby in a high chair that just falls down, and instead of helping him, Stan kind of just like steps right over the baby on the floor. And then after that, there is some dude that ends up choking on like his dinner, and the dude literally like grabs Stan and is like asking him to help him like not choke anymore. And then Stan like points at his food and like points at the table, and he's like, I can't, like I gotta go. And then Stan finally gets to the table and like puts down the food, and then as soon as he puts down the food, he starts going on with like what his conversation was earlier. And then Nadine was like, I think we should see other people. Because just like watching somebody like go through all that and not doing a single thing, I think she was like, no, I can't. I need somebody who can make a decision, and that was somebody who could not. The next thing that they spoofed, Michael Myers was throwing bodies down into a pipe. Again, this is a reference to Jeepers Creepers. Jeepers Creepers had this whole scene where he threw like his leftover bodies from his truck inside of a pipe that went to this whole underground, like basically not laboratory, but like office. Yeah, I would say this whole like underground office. And when in Jeepers Creepers, when he went down there, when the two main characters went down there, they saw that there was just body parts like sewn onto the wall everywhere, like it was some art masterpiece thing that he did, Jeepers Creepers did, and just all of his victims, he kind of just sewed them all together onto the wall, naked, and like plastered their body to make sure it didn't like rot or anything. So in this Stan Helsing movie, when they get down there, there's just like two like booty cheeks just sticking right out of the wall from the from where the pipe is, where they all fall down. And then like one of the girls who fall down, she's kind of like the bimbo of the group, but I love her character so much. The actress who did it did a phenomenal job because she does it so seriously, and that's what like makes it so funny, because this character is being so serious about all the stuff that she's saying, but like she ends up losing her panties on her way down to the movie. This is what I mean by like, you know, these were some choices that a straight man made, but she ends up like losing her panties on her way down, falling down the pipe. And then as soon as she gets down there, she's like, is anyone down here? Help, I don't have any panties on. And then when she does that, there's like two heads that kind of wake up from the wall, and they just start like rotating, head banging, spinning their heads. They're like, ooh, ooga, ooga, ooga. That was, yeah, a straight man did that, but like the comedy effect was funny. All right, so when they get to the church, the altar boy gives them all some personalized weapons. So he gives one of them, I think he gives Teddy, no. He gives Stan like a water gun, like a big like Nerf-sized water gun, but it's filled with holy water. That's one of the weapons. He gives Nadine a mask that is supposed to alter the way she looks when the time is right. And then she gives the altar boy gives Teddy like an emergency burger because his last one got you know, turned into Needlehead. So then he gives Mia, he gives the bimbo one a pair of heels. And then she's so funny, she was like, the Strip-A-Lot 3000s, I wanted these for Christmas. She was so excited. And then they also gave Stan this scroll that is supposed to be used in the right moment, and he'll know it when to use it. One of those things. But yeah, all of those weapons end up coming in handy later on in the movie. It's pretty funny. So the Brides of Dracula bit is basically like a porn a porn on phone, and like I guess like back when they can go up and do like phone sex, and they can go up and like do peep shows and watch people like perform for them. So the Brides of Dracula were doing that. They were sex working, and there's like a scene where it was totally a straight man did that, like, because it had nothing to do with the plot, but it was just a sequence where all three of them were stripping for Teddy and Stan, and it had no context to do with the plot, so that they could get rid of, or put a man out there, make him shake his thing. Last thing I want to talk about in this part is when they get to the house and they start opening up like all the doors to the different places. Each door is like something super random. Like the first one is some like random clip of like, it looked like some devils dancing in black and white. And then another one was a clip of like a great white shark coming and attacking the door. If I honestly saw that in real life, that would freak me out. The great white shark one, I'd be like, That the whole thing reminds me of something. I know it's from something, but I can't put my finger on it. I'll have to look it up later. All right, so to get on with the rest of the movie, we're almost there. The gang wakes up and the town is all back to normal, but they quickly realize it was a dream being controlled by Freddy. He uses his trusty hand and bitch slapped all of them consecutively in one swing, waking them all up. All of them are grabbing their face. They realize they have to stay awake, so they turn on the TV. A news station is telling all of the breaking stories of the night, which the four of them were all involved in somehow. Stan gets brave and decides he's going to do something about not hiding anymore. He sees Mason, the one with the hockey mask, standing outside the house. Stan goes and attacks him, and it ends up being a real teenage hockey player. Now the whole hockey team is after them, and they are on the run again. Now Sammy boy is all fixed up, so he and his owner are back for revenge. They land themselves in the middle of town where there's a line for a cab phone. It's going to take 20 minutes for the cab to come, but all of the monsters are closing in on the gang. The only place left to go back is the bar. The waitress suggests a karaoke battle like civilized human beings, how the town always settle things. It's the monsters versus the freaks at table 9. If the freaks win, then the monsters have to leave. But if they lose, then the monsters get to kill the freaks at table 9. But they are the winner. The freaks at table 9 end up winning, but the monsters don't care and go to attack them all. With the confidence their karaoke performance gave the crew and the weapons the altar boy gave them, they defeated all of the monsters. They set the town free from their curse, dropped off the movies, and got a cab home. So we'll go over the news stories on the TV. So the first one, when they turn on the TV to try to stay awake, the first thing that they see is a story about the escaped convict that they ended up giving a ride to, that hitchhiker that they give a ride to. He ended up getting a ride from a bus and killed like the whole bus full of people. Yeah, so they were in like direct correlation with that. They had almost everything to do with that. The next story was a hero dog just got ran over. So it was a dog that like saved a bunch of people from a fire before. From that fire that devastated the town, the dog was one of the people that helped save people. And it was them that ran over the dog. All right, so when they get to the karaoke battle, this is a very campy scene. The monsters, they did a karaoke song to... the monsters did a karaoke parody song to the YMCA, and the whole time you could just see the audience is not feeling it. I mean, like, come on. But they were getting it. I'm not gonna lie. The monsters, they were getting it. And the freaks at Table 9, the group, the gang, they did a karaoke song. I don't know if it's a real song. I'm sure it's a real song, but they changed the words to, like, I just want to go home. And it was, like, a catchy one. Yeah. I was trying to think of it right now, but no, yeah, that one was more of a catchy song. The audience was feeling it. The audience was vibing. So that what's made them the winner naturally. All right, and then I just want to talk about the campiness of how the monsters got defeated. so so the scroll that the altar boy gave them is what like showed Stan Helsing that all of them had a certain weakness that could help eliminate them. So the first one that he went after was Freddy. He took off Freddy's hand because his hand is like what gets him all popular. um he takes off his hand, and his hand it reveals that his hand's like unburned. It's all sparkly, well groomed, and has glitter everywhere on it, so that like embarrasses him, like not to death, but like to leave. And then Pinhead's weakness is literally, this one was the more not graphic, but like I guess scarier one. But Pinhead's weakness was literally like his darts that are sticking out of his heads. Those just got pushed straight into his skull. And then the two people who were masked, Mason and Michael Myers, they had the same weakness, which was that they had a mask. So Stan literally just like pulled their masks away from them, and it slapped their face very Three Stooges, and then dunked their heads together and pushed them right on out the door. The next person was Leatherface. Leatherface's weapon was an electric leaf blower, not even like a gas powered leaf blower, but it was an electric leaf blower. So it just pans to him trying to like use the leaf blower. He said, "I'm gonna put it on shredder," and then as soon as he says that, Nadine just goes and unplugs it, and she's like, "Ha ha ha, can't do that." And then Lucky the doll, his weakness was that literally he was a doll. Just like how I've said in almost any podcast where the actual Chucky comes up, I'm like, how are you guys scared of him? You would literally just kick his little ass. And that's what they do. They used Lucky as like a football and hiked him and kicked his little ass just straight out of the bar, defeating all of the monsters, having a happy, happy day. Okay, so I kind of want to like, Jigglypuff, 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 Jigglypuff. So we're gonna have to talk about some of the problematic stuff in this movie, okay? Okay, so one of the first problematic things that pop up for me is like their use of joking of like the sex worker, but they did it like in the actress did it in a way where it doesn't feel offensive, but like one of the main jokes was like she was a massage therapist, and she used to be an exotic dancer, and they made like, you know, a really like crass joke about the difference between the two. But one of the funny jokes they made was like when they hit the dog, the character Mia, she was like, "I took a oath," and then Teddy was like, "You're not like a licensed physician." So she went to go help the dog, and then when the group goes out there to like assist her helping the dog, she's not like giving CPR or anything to the dog. She's literally like, you see her giving the dead dog like a deep tissue massage, like rubbing its shoulders and stuff. It was like, come on. But like the making fun of like that situation, there would be a lot of problematic stuff in that. When they get to the gas station, there's some problematic stuff in that part too. There is an indigenous person who is the one that's like the store clerk, and then there is like a white lady who is very what is the word? Culturally appropriating the indigenous people inside of the whole entire lot. And then not only that, they're like filming porn videos without anybody's consent, like through a peephole, and like I think joking about that itself isn't really that funny, like filming people without their consents in like a devious sexual way. But again, the girl Mia makes fun of it because she's the one that went into the bathroom first, and then Stan goes in after, and Stan's like, "Dude, that dude's a perv, man. He was like watching me pee. And she was like, oh, he was still in there? I felt bad for the guy. I gave him a little show. I thought he was done. It's like, I feel you, girl. I would have also sympathized with the man and been like, shake a little, shake a little, shake a little. Oh, one of the bigger problematic things for me in this movie is the waitress inside of the movie. If you're familiar with spoof movies, he is the guy that played the president inside of Scary Movie 3. He's the one that played like the female waitress. So it was a very like not if this person was supposed to be a trans character, it was not a very enlightening version of a trans character. But I will say like there was no jokes at the expense of that, like how in Scary Movie 1 there was like Miss Man and all that. Like in Scary Movie 1 how there was Miss Man and all that. There was nothing like that. Like anytime somebody referred to the waitress, they said she, her, and in a serious way. Maybe that's what they were trying to be funny in that sort of time. Like, ha ha ha, look at this person who's obviously not a cis gender woman. Ha ha ha, yeah, sure, we're gonna say her. Maybe that was the joke. Other than that, in my eyes now, I'm like, okay, work, progressive. They called her she, her. Yes, ma'am. That's a queen right there. Can I get a burger, queen? When they get to the church and they have the altar boy and stuff, the altar boy, the main joke is like he's not a priest yet, so he keeps doing a lot of like sexual stuff. It is funny because the church, fuck the church. I respect everyone's religion, but like organized churches, I feel like lose their sense of the religion itself, especially like yeah. So when they get to the church, the altar boy keeps being very sexual and is like hitting on Stan, and then Stan's like, "Are you sure you're not a priest?" And the altar boy's like, "Oh, I'm this close." And then Stan, like, not Stan, the altar boy goes and like grabs Stan by like the chest and is trying to like open up his shirt to reveal that he is Van Helsing because of the birthmark, the VH. And when he goes to like rip open his shirt, Stan's like, "Dude, I thought you said you weren't a priest." And it's like, bro, that one could fly today. I could see that one flying today just because of yeah, I can see that one flying today. Honestly, other than just like the sexualizing of like the women, there's probably like a good, I want to say 10 minutes of the movie that was just them sexualizing women. And the movie was like an hour and a half. So just getting rid of that and those few jokes, I think this movie could really still stand up today. I would be down to like redirect this movie. It literally looks so fun. If I got to act in this movie, I would want to be the character Mia. I'm just saying, she looked like she had the most fun. She had those like one-liner jokes. Like, she was the joke. She was not like the joke to laugh at, but she was the one where you're like, okay. Or at least for me, she was like, that's why I'm tuning in. Yeah, you guys, that was Stan Helsing. I had it rented on Prime Video. It was only a few bucks. If you guys want to watch it, I don't know where else to watch it besides there. It's a very like cult classic movie now at this point. How old does it have to be a cult classic? Because now this is almost 20 years old. In like 3 years, it'll be like 20 years old. So we're at the part where we get to play one of my favorite games, Slash or Smash. The rules are very simple. I will tell you an iconic horror character, and we will say whether we would slash or smash and why. Remember, guys, this season I'm going to have my vlog series, so make sure to tune into my Instagram and check that out. Up first, we're going to be doing the slashers from this movie. So, I'm going to be super excited to get pictures for you guys. I'm going to do my best to describe them for you right now. First, we have Freddy. So, the way that they have him in this movie, his skin still looks the same as Freddy Krueger. His hand is the same gloved one hand, but his hand has like a toothbrush and some lipstick and like some nail clippers or something on it. And his shirt is very Charlie Brown. Like, it's one big orange shirt with like the Charlie Brown stripe on it. And then he's kind of like iced out a little bit on his wrists, and he has this black, not like a black, more bowler hat instead of a fedora. And he has this giant Flavor Flav clock. And the clock is kind of so funny because each hour, instead of it saying like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it says bedtime, bedtime, bedtime. So he's like this pimp version. And honestly, I'm gonna smash. This one looks like he'll take you out. Next, we have Micheal Myers. So, Micheal Myers, he looks just like Micheal Myers, but kind of his natural expression of the mask, at least, goes to like a what the hell are you looking at? Like what? Like huh? Like he's looking for his glasses, kind of, sort of. And I don't like this mask. I'm gonna have to slash. This one is actually like not a scary mask, but like not a mask I'm into for sure. Alrighty. Next up we have Needlehead. So Needlehead looks pretty similar, just like Pinhead in Hellraiser. He has like the white kind of blue skin. He has a big old black trench coat, red tie, and he has all of these needles in his head. But these are like syringes, darts. Most of them are like darts from like a bar game. And honestly, no, I can't. I'm gonna slash you too. Like, the outfit's tacky. Your needles don't match. You came out of a burger box. Like, is the budget not there anymore? What happened to the cube? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're gonna slash. Next, we have the Brides of Dracula. You know what? They're very hot women. I think they have excellent bodies. They use them with a purpose. And I think it would be a shame to slash them. And for that, I'm going to smash them. I'm not going to do it how they were doing it up in this movie. I'm more going to like have like a gal pals like night out, like going to get some tips from them. Oh my God, that reminds me of one of the funny parts during like the little sequence and stuff. It goes back to Mia. Mia's like literally like taking notes of some of their dancing moves. But yeah, that was literally what I'd be doing. That's why I connect with Mia. That's just going to be what I do with them. That's going to be my platonic smash. The last person we have on the dossier today is Leatherface. So, Leatherface is the parody of Leatherface. So already for that step down, leather is made out of like crocodile skin, if I'm not mistaken, maybe sometimes pig skin. Period, it's animal skin. So I appreciate like the not use of animals. But like, it's not gonna do it for me, babe. I am so sorry. Your face literally looks like a purse. There's handbags on it. And like, what is with the leaf blower? Like, I'm not trying to get blown in that kind of way. I like my hair to stay intact. The wind in Chicago is already too much. I don't need added velocity going into my curls, trying to tangle them all up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to slash you. I'm so sorry. That was slash or smash. Don't forget to comment below your guys' top slash and your top smash. I think my top smash is gonna be Freddy. Yep, Freddy can get it. I think, yeah, he might have been the only person. Him and the Brides are the only person. But yeah, Freddy, is gonna be my top smash. And my top slash is gonna be Needlehead. Yeah, the outfit's tacky. It's tacky. It doesn't look nice. You guys will have to tune into my Instagram to see the pictures of them, because there will be pictures of them and I will be talking chiz about them. We have almost dug a hole big enough to fit this topic into, but before we go, this is part of the show where we answer chilling inquiries from the Crypt Keepers. Today's question is, Miss Keeper of the Crypt. All right, so my goth girlfriend is super stoked that there's a Valentine's Day and a Friday the 13th back to back, and my not so goth boyfriend already planned a Valentine's weekend getaway. We're all polyamorous, so there's no problem there. The issue is Friday the 13th doesn't happen in February too often, so this is the perfect time to do something for her. But I don't want to disregard what he already had planned for us. My boyfriend kind of got mad last time when I tried to rearrange his plans, which he already made. What should I do? What should I do for a spooky girl on Friday the 13th? How do I ask my boyfriend's forgiveness? Is there a gift I can get him to soften the blow? Grunge down, punk in distress. All right, so, love the polycule, love that for you guys. You don't want to do anything that's going to affect that. Jealousy, I feel like, can, like, come up very easily in a situation like that, especially when it's around a holiday that, like, everybody kind of loves. Your girlfriend being Friday the 13th, your boyfriend being Valentine's Day. But with that being said, I think, like, being more empathetic to the fact that there is never really a Friday the 13th in February, and you kind of have to go celebrate that. You need to go plan something with that, definitely. I would just talk to your boyfriend sooner than later and be like, look, I'm just only trying to hold back one more day. Technically Valentine's Day isn't until the 14th, which is a lovely, lovely Saturday. And I'll call off, try to call off Monday. If you call off Monday, then you'll still be able to do like a 3-day getaway if that's was something he already planned. Yeah. And I kind of already had like the perfect Friday the 13th date the other day. And I kind of wrote about it in my blog, and I'm gonna tell you guys about it right now. I'm just gonna read the blog. It's very quick. It was, I'm so excited. It was with Jason Voorhees. Oh my God, I didn't believe it at first when he hit me up on Grindr. It was kind of a gag. I was like, okay, Jason, I don't know what you're doing in Chicago, but hey, I can make a pit stop. So we started off by taking a beautiful walk around Camp Crystal Lake, which is his all-time favorite lake. Dusk was upon us and golden hour was hitting in the most petrifyingly perfect way. I stood there for a second looking deeply into his hockey mask. I always had a thing for guys who played sports, just by the way, and felt the most sinister spark between us. I really enjoyed my time with him because he was such a good listener, never really spoke a word, some grunts and groans here or there, but always attentively listened. When I suggested we take a dip in the water, this was the only time I could see that he got physically upset. He started breathing really heavily, which made me realize he probably just didn't know how to swim. I'm a queen at pivoting. I suggested we keep walking toward the nearby cemetery for a change of scenery. An ominous landscape of crypts, graves, and tombstones on the night of Friday the 13th, I couldn't think of anything more romantic. Once we arrived, he started leading the way straight to a grave with a tombstone engraved with the name Pamela Voorhees. I heard one huge exhale and saw a singular tear fall down the side of his hockey mask. At that moment, I knew this had to be his mom's grave. Having the same last name, couldn't be a coincidence. I wiped the tear from his mask and rested my head on his chest, assuring him everything would be okay. I motioned to the peaceful, sleeping bodies underneath the ground next to her and promised Jason that his mother was in a better place. He nodded his head and led me to a shed behind the graveyard. Once he opened the door, there were only 2 things inside of it: a machete ready to be used and a shrine to his mother. I thought if he loved his mother that much, then he had to be a good guy. Usually, I don't go after mama's boys because, God forbid, the day he had to choose between his mom and me, then surely the mom would get picked every time, right? But I didn't have to worry about that with Jason because Pamela was already out of the picture. Thankfully, I can definitely compete with a shrine. I've done it once before and I'll do it again. I told him that he was a good son to his mother, a good boy even. He definitely lit up like a Christmas tree when he heard that. Menacingly, he grabbed the machete with one hand and carried me with his other. I never felt so dainty in my life, and we were off down another trail to the camp near the lake. As soon as we got there, he spotted a camp counselor by himself and set me down by a tree. Jason motioned for me to stay put, and put I stayed, watching this 6'3" behemoth of a monstrous man do work. He appeared behind the camp counselor and tapped his shoulder. The dude turned around and screamed. When Jason picked him up by the neck with his free arm, I was a little jealous of this part, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was our thing. Jason threw him straight up in the air and placed both of his hands on the machete. With one force-filled swing upwards toward the camp counselor, Jason's machete split him in half. It was like watching someone play Fruit Ninja for the first time. Blood sprayed everywhere, glistening in the moonlight, while the 2 halves of the camp counselor's body fell on each side of Jason. As I was running over to JV, he bent down, picked up the counselor's heart off the floor, and handed it to me. This was honestly one of the most romantic gestures someone has ever done for me, and dates I've been on, but I couldn't get past the thought of him choking someone else. I accepted the heart, gave him a huge kiss through the mask, of course, and told him that it couldn't work between us. However, we'd always have that special night together at Camp Crystal Lake. He kissed me back, picked up his machete, and started walking towards the lake. As he reached the harrowing shoreline, he looked back, stood there for a minute, took off his mask, looked back at me, and mouthed the words, "I love you." Jason dropped his mask and his machete. He slowly took one step, then another, and another, until he completely submerged in water. I watched bubbles rise to the top of the surface until the water became still again. I thought to myself how dramatic and performative that exit was. I picked up his mask, but not the machete because I wasn't trying to get my fingerprints on the murder weapon, and looked into the lake and whispered to myself, well, I dodged a bullet. So, I hope you can take some inspiration from my date and maybe go on a cute Friday the 13th date of your own, Mr. Grungy Dude. Thank you so much for writing in. I appreciate it. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole entire episode. I didn't get to do it last episode because last episode went way too long. So I'm really glad we got to do the Crypt question this week. All right. So I would like to thank my schizophrenia for hanging out with us again today. And you guys know I'm always going to plug it. My Instagram, at She's in the Crypt. You guys need to go follow it so you can go see the mini vlog series. You guys can go see my Crypt collection posts, my blogs. They're getting really, really good. The Lover's Quarrel volume is almost done. I have one blog left. When this comes out, the last one is going to be coming out tomorrow, Saturday. Please tune into that and go see the final installation of volume 3 of Lover's Quarrel in the Crypt collections. And I'm going to be starting rehearsal very soon for Macbeth. Yes, I'm excited for that. I am one of the soldiers. I get to do a fight scene, which is going to be pretty cool. So I either get to kill somebody or I don't think my character dies. I think I get to kill somebody or be involved in killing somebody. So that'll be really fun. I heard they already have a fight choreographer lined up and ready to come teach us some things. All right, that is all I have to plug right now. So I'd like to thank UIC Radio for publishing this podcast, but most importantly, I'd like to thank you, the Crypt Keepers. Thank you for digging this grave with me, but unfortunately, the graveyard is closed. So until next time, we'll leave this episode in the crypt. Farewell and bad dreams. Make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at She's in the Crypt for updates about shows and upcoming guests. Follow UIC Radio at UIC Radio on Insta and subscribe to the UIC Radio YouTube channel so you won't miss a single episode every Friday. And you can also check out the other shows on the network. This podcast was created, written, and edited by Niomi Dylan Sass. Hey! And published by UIC Radio. Music by Arthur Benson, A Friendly Ghost, and sound effects from epidemicsounds.com. If you can't get enough of She's in the Crypt, you can check out my weekly blog, Crypt Collections, every Saturday morning on the website uicradio.net. And find me in the blog section.